Thank you so much for staying with me such late. I know this is the last session. Uh, my name is Cindy Xing. So today's topic is about open model and its curation over Kubernetes. To start, I'd like to give a quick intro of myself. Working in the industry over 15 years, I've been working on many large enterprise companies like Microsoft, Meta, Huawei, and Google. So in the past, when I work in Azure, I helped build the OpenAI service and Copilot. And now I'm working in Google Kubernetes engine team and help customers to onboard a GenAI workload to GKE. So about my life, I have 3 kids. Obviously, I'm a busy working mom. And then I also have a German Shepherd. You can see him here. So that's about me. For today's agenda, I like to walk through about Open Gen AI, and then also talk about open model, and then talk about what it means by quality for open model. Lastly, but not least, I want to spend some time about my working experience when I built open model over GKE. Before I really start the content, please give me a quick show of hands. I want to know how many of you are DevOps? So help me understand how many of you are machine learning engineer or data scientist? Okay. One last question. How many of you have used Kubernetes before? Awesome. Great. Okay. In September 2023, Linux Foundation implemented a user survey. This survey, they received from valid 249 receivers or respondents about the survey against a handful of questions. Those people are from all kinds of companies in the United States and Canada. They are ranging from startup company, medium size, or large enterprise. All those people, they are very familiar with language Gen AI, or you can say they're extremely familiar with Gen AI. So as you can see, some of the survey, first of all, over 60% of the people they are claiming for their companies or organizations, they plan to significantly invest in Gen AI. And then the second theme is they all want to adopt open Gen AI technology because, first of all, it's publicly available, it's innovating, it's encouraging collaboration, it's easy to integrate. But on the other hand, there are a bunch of factors people really care. For example, openness, quality, like performance, accuracy, consistency. They wanted a neutrality. Security are very important. Next, I want to share some detailed information. First of all, as you can see from the left chart, only 9% of the people saying they want to use proprietary technologies. Most of the people, they want to either a purely open source or a combination of open source plus their proprietary technologies. The second one I want to really call out is security. I do know many of you are data scientists and machine learning engineer. You build the machine learning model, but we just heard about the safety and security. Think about your model will be deployed and be used by real people. So then how can we make sure it's secure and safe is very important. Obviously, you can see from the survey, people really care about security, even on top of the cost and all the other areas. Then I like to talk about the open model. I'm pretty sure many of you are already familiar with this. I'll be really quick. So open model, as you can see, is all pre-trained large model. Their weight files are publicly available. Open model is not completely equal to open source model because for their training code, what data set they're using, their architecture or algorithm can be closed. Those open models can be used for training, fine-tuning, and inference. So some of the models might have some terms or license requirement. Then if you go to Hugging Face, you can find over 70,000 open models. I ties them into different categories. As you can see, majority of them you heard even the whole day is about large language models. There's some other models like diffusion models, which can be used for text to image, for image generation. And then recently, there's some new technology called mixture of expert. People are trying to take it to make their training be faster or even inference be faster. Lastly, but not least, is like the multimodal models, like for example, the Polygemma from Google. So people can use it for creating language, manipulating like audio, video, all those kind of data. Before I talked about open model quality, I like all of us to walk through what is the Gen AI ecosystem. When you talk about ecosystem, there will be involved of people, like who are the people in this ecosystem? What kind of roles or responsibilities are they playing? Secondly, what are the tech stack involved in Gen AI ecosystem? Then the next will be like how people are doing it, right? As you can see, like there are all kinds of roles. Data scientists and researchers, they're picking a domain or business problem. They're trying to figure out what are the available data sets and then what kind of architecture or algorithm they can use to build the model. Machine learning engineer, you're like trying to improve your model or even like deploy it to infrastructure. So then from an infrastructure admin perspective, they're managing their infrastructure, saying like how many GPU, TPU I have capacity, and then what kind of limit control I want to set for my engineers to be able to use. Then the other one is, I believe, outside in this conference room, there are so many application developers. They are willing or eager to adopt Gen AI machine learning models. So those are a lot of people there. Then if you look at the tech stack, I think there are three big areas. First of all is the applications. We all build the software. We're software engineer, right? Then the second one is about the asset, like either your data and then the model you're building. And then the third one is the infrastructure. After we talk about the who and tech stack, I like to list out a bunch of open source tools, framework available. So first one is about like a model as a service. Where can you find those models or download the models? Hugging Face is a publicly available website or service. You can download the model. They're free. And then Kaggle is another effort Google started. You can also find the model there. Obviously, I believe in this room, another 7 implemented a talk on Metaflow. Metaflow, Kubeflow, Airflow can help you to build a pipeline where you can get your data, train your data, and then build machine learning and do inference. Ray is another infrastructure where you can orchestrate your training and inference together. I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with Jupyter Notebook, where you use it to like start the whole flow, right? And then together there will be TensorFlow, LangChain, PyTorch. I'm pretty sure all those tools that you're super familiar with. Um, the next one I want to call out is like, what are the inference server available? There are a bunch of public available inference server like VLLM, TGI from Hugging Face, or Triton from NVIDIA. And then Even from an API perspective, because earlier I talked about there are a bunch of application developers. If they want to build applications, there's some REST APIs available for them to use before they talk to the inference endpoint. For example, like the OpenAI API, which is pretty publicly or widely adopted. Then there's recently another standard called the Open Inference Protocol. A group of people are trying to build the standard for people to follow. Then the next one from an infrastructure, as you can see, Kubernetes has been widely adopted application orchestrator. And then the second one I want to call out is the Slurm. It used to be adopted widely by the HPC, high performance computing folks. Now, like Slurm is also adopted for people to do large machine learning training. And then from an industry perspective, obviously, you can see the top three cloud providers. They are building managed, how to say, machine learning services to the world, right? So from Google, we have a Vertex AI. Amazon is building SageMaker, and Azure ML build the OpenAI cloud service. And then infrastructure perspective, we have GKE, EKS, AKS. And then like a bunch of companies, they're creating their open model. Like NVIDIA recently, last week, they released a super big 340 billion parameters or even more, a super large model. All those companies have been building their foundational model as well. So to rephrase the whole flow in the AI ML area, researchers, data scientists use data to train model. Infrastructure admin control and manage their resource. And then machine learning engineer deploy model to machine learning endpoint and manage those endpoints. Then application developers adopt. I spent quite some time to lay out a story. Now let's talk about like when we talk about AI quality, especially for Gen AI quality. What do we mean? In my mind, I'm listing the below areas. So if we even categorize them into bigger buckets, I would say there are two big things. One is the model quality itself. So I'm pretty sure data scientists, machine learning engineer, you care a lot about the quality for your model. So through today's conference, I've heard a lot. How can you ensure your data set quality? And then how can you make sure your model is accurate, consistent, without bias, and then it's transparent for customers? That's the first bucket, what I mean by model quality. The second quality, I would say, is from operation perspective. This is about how can you ensure you can do a secure, performing, and reliable way to operate your inference endpoint. And then on the other hand, from an application developer's perspective, you want your application to be reliable, performing, and secure as well. So for today's talk, I'm more focusing on the second part because you've already know how you can do ensure your quality for the model. This slide is like a good Google's thoughts about what can be the like a security risk from a Gen AI perspective. I'm not gonna dive into detail, but obviously you can see, for example, prompt injection. People can like jailbreak your prompt and then create a lot of risk in the sense of security. And also your model can be stolen. How can you prevent that happen? So those are the potential risks when we talk about the Gen AI. So next, what about my experience in Google when I enable open AI, open model to Google Kubernetes infrastructure. Let's think about a user story. You're an application developer or you are a machine learning engineer. You go to Hugging Face and you find an open model, first of all. Then secondly, you want to deploy it to Kubernetes. But the things you wouldn't know, would it work? What kind of hardware, memory, GPU I should use? So, and then after that, while I'm running it, how much cost it's gonna take? And then how can I keep on tracking or monitor the health of the endpoint? And then lastly but not least, when the application developers is trying to inference or predict against the endpoint, how can I make sure it's secure? There's no jailbreak for the input. So those are the ones we enabled in Google. Here are the screenshots. You can go to Hugging Face. There will be a deploy menu, and then you can see Google Cloud. When you click that, it will direct you to a Google website. For that, we have a one-click button. You can deploy this open model to Vertex, which is a managed backend, or you can deploy it to your own GKE Kubernetes cluster. Imagine in Hugging Face, there are over 70,000 open models. This is definitely a big challenge if you want to figure out which should be working, which not, what kind of compute configuration you're gonna do. So for the past few months, what my team has done is we build a pipeline of automation where we are able to pre-compute. We basically curated 400, roughly 400 top open models for all of the customers. So as you can see, if you pick Llama 3 or any model which we verified, there will be a green tag showing you this model is you can trust. The second one is we pre-computed, we figure out this is the computation settings you can trust, where your model will be sure it's gonna work. Um, the other one would be for certain model, they require you to put your dev token. So from a Kubernetes perspective, we automatically create the secret and then allowing you to provision that. So from a transparency perspective, after your deployment, you can see the cost. You can monitor your model and see the health, whether it's working. You can also use the sample code and then try it out or validate against your endpoint. So again, as I mentioned, we build an automation pipeline. We are able to do all those. The other one I want to mention is Google in our broader org. We open source the benchmark where you can even automatically evaluate your model inference performance. So I think I was caught. Basically, I'm losing time now. I just need 2 more minutes to finish the whole thing. So I want to touch base on the security part I mentioned earlier. As you can see in the whole stack, there are data, model, application, infrastructure. How are you gonna think about security? Um, in fact, if you later on you can find the deck, I included a bunch of links you can in it. So from a Google perspective, to address some of the security concerns, Google is hosting all the inference server containers on Google Cloud. Before we host it, we do vulnerability checks, against all the all the code Docker file, and then we build it and make sure it's follow the license, it's secure. Then we store it so that when people deploy their inference endpoints, this container is verified already. We guarantee it's secure. Um, the other one is we have security check. Not everybody can access those models to your projects. Um, Obviously, in Google, there's a bunch of security guard around your Jupyter notebook. Similarly, we do vulnerability scan and make sure there's no like insecure code running on it. Um, Lastly, but not least, I really want to call out and call your attention for this capability Google is building. It's called the Model Armor. So I'm pretty sure you all care about the prompt injection, especially around your input and output. People can hijack into your prompt or output. So with this Model Armor, in Google, you can pick and choose the policy you want to select. For example, toxicity or like what are the information you really care about. Once you configure it, like through this model armor, we will check against the prompt and the output. Make sure your application won't either show sensitivity data or like show something inappropriate. So with that saying, any question? The other one is I would encourage you or like you to take some survey. So in fact, we spend some effort to prepare a bunch of questions. I would appreciate if you can take the survey and let us know how further we can help you and support you. Yeah, thank you.